Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, political deep dive fans of all ages. I'm Dave Valente. Thank you for joining us on the political deep dive tonight. We are talking Project 2025. Greetings, Janice. Thank you for joining us tonight. Joining us as always from Colorado, AJ. What is going on, AJ?
Not much. But I think Louie has finally decided to stop barking because there for a second I was like, okay. It's a Sunday night, folks. I'm happy to be here with you.
Yeah.
I'm happy to be here with Dan. I'm happy to be here with Janice. So,
yeah.
Yay.
Good to have friends in the house. Speaking of friends in the house, Dan, a canal, Panama.
Canada. Because it has to be a palindrome. If we're a man, a plan, a canal, Panama, then it would be a palindrome.
Speaking of, tomorrow is my birthday, but also sharing the birthday with me is Canada. It is Canada Day tomorrow.
Canada.
We'll probably talk about it a little bit.
Sacred ground.
Oh, no, Canada.
True patriots.
Only cup for you.
I was rooting for Edmonton at the end.
Oh, no. Operation Leaf Blower has sustained me for 31 years. I mean, here's my favorite stat.
Yeah.
An American team has won the Canadian Football League championship more recently than a Canadian team has won the Stanley Cup. So 1995 Baltimore, I think they were the Stallions. There were 2 years where American teams participated in the Canadian Football League.
Right, San Antonio has a team too.
Yeah, Baltimore Stallions won the CFL Grey Cup, and immediately the American teams were no longer allowed. So,
well, it's interesting. Has a Canadian team ever won the World Series? I think the Blue Jays won.
Yeah, Blue Jays have.
Yeah.
But more recently, the Canadian Football League was won by an American team because the Blue Jays last won, I think, in '92.
Yeah.
It was a good time for Canada because they just won this. They won the World Series. They were winning the Stanley Cup. The Canadians won the Stanley Cup in '93, and nothing since. So 31 years, Operation Leaf Blower has been a success, and I'm very happy for that.
Well, I do think that.
Although I love Canada, I think Canada is a great country.
And I mean, I love Connor McDavid. He played his ass off in the playoffs, right? Second most points in postseason in any single point season ever.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because previously the top 5 were only held by 2 guys, Gretzky and Lemieux.
Yeah.
So for him to move up to number 2 is pretty impressive.
It is. I mean, he's a phenomenal talent.
Yeah. I mean, he is the second best player named Connor in the league.
Who's the first best player named Connor?
Oh, Connor Bedard's the best player.
Oh, no. No, Connor Bedard's got a couple more seasons before he even gets that mantle. He's the best rookie.
Yeah. I was surprised that he won Calder.
Oh, no. That was an easy. There wasn't anybody that was outside of Brock Faber. That was a very distant second.
I think he was lucky that it was a relatively weak rookie class because he did miss 6 weeks that affected, his total scoring. I think, realistically speaking, he probably should have had 20 more points.
Well, yeah, I mean, what concussion, wasn't it?
Yeah,
because he got rocked going in the zone that one night.
Yeah, he got rocked in that in a play that a rookie needs to learn. Keep your head up, kid.
Keep your head up, kid. Daryl, how's Canada like the Matrix? If you die in Canada, you die in real life. That makes sense. I'm down with that. And Daryl, condolences on the loss of is it Fannie Mae that May passed away this week? Or that you lost Freddie earlier this year, and as pet parents, we all understand the loss and the devastation, and we definitely have you in our thoughts when it comes to that. So,
Jack.
Yep. So Dan, you were with Chase on Thursday night and did not.
I was. We watched the debate together. First we went to a couple of events, interviews, stuff like that. And we watched the debate. And boy, how terrible was that? I mean, you guys watched it live.
Oh yeah, it was horrible. Like I wasn't shocked that Biden was. I mean, we've watched Biden the last few years, and he's definitely lost a step.
Well, we talked about this. People who are shocked by Biden's performance need to reconsider their media choices, because this has been in the news consistently. And I mean, I don't know how you don't see it watching him get off of an airplane.
Well, also the pictures that they used, that CNN themselves used to promote this, were from like 2020.
Yeah.
And pictures that they used, and it was like that took some kid like 5 minutes to figure out and post online.
Yeah. The Biden coming in there, he was shuffling. I mean, he didn't look good walking in there. And to be honest, Trump didn't look all that sprightly walking up to the podium on his side. And if it wasn't for the absolute disaster that at least, especially the first probably 45 minutes of the debate, his delivery, the fact that he was trying to. Somebody said he was over prepared. I don't know. I mean, I think that's more the mental acuity issue, is that he was trying to offer like a bunch of different things, and he was stepping all over himself.
I mean, he had the sort of dementia that I say is typical in an 81-year-old man. It's not that he is non-compos mentis, but like the thing where he said 500 million, or 500 billion, and it's either 24 years or 25 years, and then the two lies that he repeated, which were just ridiculous, right? I mean, the thing is, he was close to the truth, which is very different from Donald Trump, who was never in the same room as the truth during the debate. But when he said that, Trump said that Nazis were very fine people, that's not what Donald Trump said. Okay, it's very clearly not what Donald Trump said. Even Snopes says that.
Yeah.
Donald Trump said the Nazis were terrible people. He said, but regarding the removal of Southern statues, there are very good people on both sides. I
Most of
disagree,
the issue, yeah, like,
but
eh,
it's a different issue. It's not the same as saying that Nazis are good people. And then the other one, Trump didn't suggest actually saying, oh, people should actually inject bleach. He said, bleach kills this stuff in under 1 minute. Maybe there's a way that we can get something like that going on in the body. He didn't say
that
people
was
should
not a
inject
great
bleach.
press
But
conference for Trump, because I
That
think he gets taught he got told stuff by his medical people,
Yeah.
and he just ran out there like Seabiscuit, just run out to the stage and start talking about this
Yeah.
stuff. And he didn't really understand it.
No. I mean, it was a terrible thing. The thing is, Biden didn't need to misrepresent him, and I don't think he meant to. I don't think he went out there to deliberately lie. I think that he's just that confused, and that's where the problem is. Because if you're just that confused about some of the more sensitive issues, who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah.
This is a man who meets alone with foreign leaders.
And I mean, here's another issue to think about now in the post wrap up of the debate. There's been lots of pressure external to say, Biden needs to uncommit the delegates and let this be an open convention, which I advocate for. This should be an open convention. There's a great fear within, because the Democrats won't be able to control it. But
Right.
honestly, that's the person who gets picked from that process will get such a bounce from the convention, because
Yeah, it'll be
one,
huge.
people don't want this matchup. They don't like Trump or Biden.
Right.
So they're going to look at this and say, okay, well, one of the sides finally gave us something else.
Right.
And unless they're, they pick Lyndon LaRouche or something just, way out of left field, which I don't think they will. There's plenty of choices
No.
for them to make.
I think, well, so
at
first,
the very least.
let's talk a little bit about the convention math. Joe Biden has 3,900 delegates. He has every delegate that he could possibly get.
Yes.
You need 4,000 votes rather, to win the election. So he doesn't have it in the bag, even if everybody voted for him. You have to have at least 100 superdelegates vote for you. However, in the rules of the convention, it also says very clearly that the job of the delegates is not, hang on a sec. The job of the
Dan is consulting the interwebs.
sorry, my friend in Barbados is texting me about the hurricane that he's going through on his boat right now.
Oh, geez.
Barrels.
So
Barrel-
I just told him, stay safe. You don't need to send me any pictures right now. So he would have to have some of the super delegates vote for him anyway. But the way they work is essentially you run against NOTA. So in the last round, when there's only one candidate, you need to get 4,000 votes, or 4,000 votes or more, or it's just like our debate, our convention. It gets thrown back to the floor, and now people can be renominated. So he has to get 4,000 votes in the first ballot.
Yeah.
Between all the people who have no confidence in him, all the people who are mad about him because of his position on Israel or because of his position on this, that, or the other thing. I think that there are 800 notas in that vote. And so once he reaches that conclusion, then I think he will release the delegates.
Janice, I saw the rally in North Carolina. I think, if this was a one-off thing, I would say, okay, and a lot of people made the point that Obama performed horribly in the first debate against Mitt Romney.
But Jesus, saying that Obama performed horribly is comparing it to this performance is like the difference between throwing a bullet at somebody and shooting them with a gun.
Yeah.
Right.
So for Obama, it was a one-off thing. For Joe Biden, this is kind of a pattern that we were worried about going into this debate. That will it crop up? Can he recapture the magic of the State of the Union where he performed better than we thought? I think some of the things within the debate actually hurt him. I think not having a muted mic hurt him. I think not having an audience hurt him. I think there are definitely lots of things that hurt Biden's performance, but I don't think that performance is a one-off. And I think that's the worry that Democrats have right now, and they're right to worry about it because Joe Biden himself has said, I'm not going to drop out. He apparently meeting with his family this week at Camp David, and they've encouraged him to continue to run. I've heard a lot of people say Joe Biden should be charged with elder abuse at this point.
I mean, come on,
which is right. not unfair, but
I mean, it's not Joe Biden that's making him run. It's the Democrats who are afraid of. So I mean, let's cycle back to all this. I'm going to pin it all on Debbie Wasserman, or Debbie Wasserman Schultz, I think is her last name now, because she cheated. They cheated to make Hillary win the 2016 nomination. Bernie Sanders would have beaten Donald Trump. I am convinced. And Democrats don't want to acknowledge this, but there is enough latent misogyny in the Democratic Party that not everybody got 100% behind Hillary just because, she's a woman. Whatever the reason. I mean, she also had much more significant negatives, which again is part of misogynistic agenda on the Republican issues. Right. She also had health issues. Right. She collapsed right beforehand.
9/11 on 9/11 when she was at the memorial and they had to take her away early and she collapsed going into the vehicle. That was, I mean, that and the Mueller thing that came out later towards
her emails
mentioned. Yeah, the emails really just destroyed it.
And then the other thing is, remember that the Democrats had a plan, right? They were going to promote Trump to make him look good so that he would be the candidate that they ran against. Now, what's funny about that is that's what the Trump campaign is doing right now. The Trump campaign are the people who are saying, you got to stick with Joe Biden. You can't change. He's the guy that you got to run in the end, because the Trump people really want to run against Joe Biden. They don't want to run against an energetic candidate. They don't want to run against somebody who's going to get up there and galvanize the party, because
can we
go ahead.
Can we acknowledge, I mean, Trump did exactly what he has always done. He just lied. Trump and he wasn't called out on about that when it happened. And he's never called out when it's happening. And if I'm just a little concerned.
That's the problem.
If no one ever calls him out on it when it happens.
Well,
Biden did, which was like, grandpa going, don't spin around in your granny's chair. Who gives a fuck? Why didn't the moderators say, oh, wait, no, sorry, former President Trump, that's not actually true. They should have done that. I feel like, honestly, CNN, they failed us. They failed everyone by not calling him out on the lies.
I think that there's
it though. If they're gonna want to present themselves as the fair, not the fair and balanced, obviously, but if they're going to present themselves this way and they're going to have this debate and there's no audience and such an unprecedented time, shouldn't they be held to kind of a high standard for that? Well, I mean, shouldn't we get to? I don't know.
It's interesting to think about what the format for that would look like. The thing is if the moderators start saying, "Oh, that's not true,"
but
that's a lie,
gross,
something like that, you get into this combative form. I'm not saying it's wrong. It would be nice maybe if they had like a truthometer at the bottom and independent journalists who said, we have the New York Times, Washington Post, Fox News.
Like a ticker going?
No, like a score sheet, and said, is this statement true? And you could see the score. You could say,
I mean, it's
something like that. Instead of the moderators losing the ability to, instead of the moderators irritating the candidates.
Well, and the problem is that you got Joe Biden on the other side, who should be able to say, you know what, that's a lie, and here's why it's a lie. But he
Right.
was able to say it's a lie, but he just did not have the acuity to say, this is why this is a lie. This is why, X, Y, and Z.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, I think we get to a discussion if, let's say, the delegates revolt in at the convention in Chicago. Who comes out of that? Do you think it's Kamala?
No.
I just don't think that Kamala's got
her numbers are even worse. But I think that she'll fight for it.
Oh yeah, she will.
But I think that I like Gretchen Whitmer most out of all the candidates there. She can say, I am such a threat to the right wing of the party that they tried to kidnap and kill me.
That's not a bad thing to say.
Yeah, I think it's a very powerful message.
I mean, I didn't like her policies on COVID.
Oh, we're not going to like her. Listen, there's no.
No. I get that. I'm not going to be like, woohoo, Gretchen Whitmer.
Right. But it should be pointed out, the whole reason the Democrats didn't let Kennedy run is because they knew this shit. They knew this shit was coming down the thing. And if Kennedy was actually running right now, he would win. He would have the delegates.
Oh, yeah. I'm glad that the Democrats pushed Kennedy out.
Here's the thing. Kennedy's batshit crazy, right?
Oh, yeah.
But actually, I mean, let's say that Kennedy is brainworm crazy.
Worm shit crazy.
What?
Yeah,
What? All of those.
He can do less harm than either of the other two candidates.
To an extent. I mean, I don't think the Democrats would rally behind him in the House and the Senate.
Oh no, that definitely not.
I think that to an extent is true. I think the longer term damage is to the office of the presidency, but I think we're kind of screwed no matter.
Yeah. I mean,
if it's Biden, Trump, or Kennedy.
It is going to take Buddha rising from the grave and getting elected president to restore some form of dignity to that office. It's not possible for. Well, I don't know. I sort of said that. On the other hand, I think Obama was very presidential.
I do. Yeah.
Carried himself well. Except
I don't agree with his policies.
Yeah, I didn't like his policies. But except for the smoking, I thought that he really carried himself very well. On the other hand,
I think
some of the other Democrats who were there, I don't think Gavin Newsom's really got a shot. His numbers outside of California are poor. I don't see any way, people, I think that there's a ghost of a chance. I think Hillary Clinton will probably be nominated on the second ballot. But
she satisfies none of the requirements for a candidate at this point. She may be mentally there a little bit, but physically,
I think mentally she's sharp as an arrow. I watched her on The View the other day. I mean, she represents her opinions, which I disagree with, but she's
a one-off interview is not a full political campaign, though. The rigors of doing a full political campaign, she had problems. She did collapse last. We're 8 years now. We're 8 years out now. She's not that much younger. I think that the problem for Hillary Clinton is that she doesn't address the age issue.
Yeah, no, she doesn't
satisfactorily.
Right, right, and that's where Gretchen Whitmer does.
I think Pritzker's probably got, because he is stinking rich.
Yeah,
has a chance. You might see a governor. I don't think a senator's has enough high. We don't have enough high-profile senators.
No, you want somebody with executive experience. I agree.
You're right. Newsom. The problem with Newsom is that it's California. As soon as California gets mentioned, unless you are in New York or Illinois, California doesn't turn you off too much.
Well, but here's the thing. A name that occasionally gets mentioned is Charlie Crist. So I don't think the Democrats would nominate a former Republican to be their presidential candidate. But if you look at the math, if he could carry Florida, Democrats
he couldn't carry Florida against DeSantis. Like, he lost to DeSantis.
Yeah.
If he had been elected governor as a Democrat. That gives, I mean, you could make. I mean, I don't know that they would do it because Hogan's running for Senate, but Larry Hogan would be a blue state governor that. Well, I mean, I'm sorry, I'm going the wrong way on that one. But
what's interesting about it is that people are talking about no labels. Are they going to come out with a ticket now? But they're not on the ballot. Yeah,
it's too late. What about Joe Manchin? Like, I mean, there are some things that you could do that
Joe Manchin.
But I think it's going to be a governor. Daryl says Jared Polis. Jared Polis, I would love. But I mean, that would be probably my favorite politician to run. The problem is, I don't think that the United States is ready for a gay man to be president, which I think hits at Buttigieg as well. But I think Jared Polis would make a fine vice president, getting us ready for that idea. I mean, I would vote for Jared Polis for president.
What do you think about Bashir out of Kentucky? Because he made headlines and during COVID, he's really stood up against a lot of the crap that Lee's put out.
I mean, it's a Southern Democratic governor that's fought against the tide of the red wave, and I mean, Kentucky generally is not South, but it is considered the South.
It's the chicken in the pan, y'all.
Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting question to say. Outside of Barack Obama, who's the last non-Southern Democrat to be elected president? You got to go back a long way.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, before then, the Democrats were. I mean, their power base was the South.
Right. I think Kennedy is the last non-Southern Democrat. It's. I don't know. I think that the really interesting thing is going to be, will Biden understand that he has to step down?
That's the hard thing. Like, I mean, if you've dealt with aging parents or grandparents,
does he drive?
Telling them,
can he pass a driving test?
Yeah, like, Grandpa, you gotta give up your keys. We can't have you driving anymore. That's a fight in and of itself. Telling him to give up the keys just because they can't drive. He doesn't even have to drive anymore. He's got drivers. It's you have to give up the keys to power, and will he accept that?
No.
In dementia, I mean, if you do have dementia,
it makes it worse.
Their dementia anger is a thing. It definitely is a thing, and it's hard to deal with, and it's hard to watch. Oh, we lost Dan.
Dan was offended. He said, "No, sir, we're not going to discuss that tonight."
Hold on a sec. Let me get Dan back on. There we go.
Hi.
Facebook censored me because I said the naughty word that you're not supposed to say on Facebook.
What did you say on Facebook?
I said that Zuckerberg should be the vice president. No.
Lizard people.
Yeah, I think that there is, if Biden can become convinced that there are 800 votes against him and he will lose to Noda in the first round, then maybe he will gracefully step aside.
I just saw a poll out that Trump is now up 5 points, which that should scare people. That should scare the Democrats.
That's terrifying.
Because right now we're looking at, I mean, look, I don't like Biden, but I'd rather not have Donald Trump as my president because of what we're going to be talking about here in a moment. But it feels like the Biden family has, taken us by the hand and is driving us right towards the cliff in a convertible as we're about to plunge to our death. Like that's what
they're saying. Don't get out of the car. Don't get out of the car. Put on your seatbelt, but don't get out of the car.
Yeah, we're Thelma and Louise at this point, and we're being driven towards the cliff. And
I want to be Brad Pitt in this scenario.
If you can wear the jeans the way he wore them in that movie, I'll vote for you. 100%.
But yeah, I mean, it feels like we're come hell or high water, we're going to get this Trump versus Biden matchup, and right now, and I said after the debate while we were talking, thank God it's 4 months until the election. Thank God it's before the convention, because the Democrats do have the opportunity to stop this. And 4 months is a lifetime, knowing Donald Trump is your opponent, and Donald Trump can always do the dumb thing and always say the dumb thing. So there is a chance. I mean, we could get Joe Biden drooling into a cup getting elected president, because Trump just proves to be so bad and he finally drives the independents towards Biden. But I don't want to take that chance.
Right.
And I'm not going to be voting for Joe Biden or whoever the Democratic nominee is, because in West Virginia it just doesn't matter. But I want people in other states, especially the background states, to have a better choice than what we're getting right now.
Well, it's interesting because AJ now lives in a swing state.
Yeah, she's swinging.
Yep, exactly.
Wow, sir.
All
right.
So my vote might actually matter, you mean?
Yeah. Your vote will not matter, but people will still try to get it. As opposed to my vote and Dave's vote, which people won't even care about.
Yeah.
But
but we'll still get the TV ads.
I haven't gotten any TV ads. I have not gotten the first mailer of any candidates or anything.
I did see a Biden ad on Copa America. I was watching the Copa America the other night.
They just don't do it out here, y'all. They just don't do it out here.
Yeah. But
at home, I was seeing Trump and Biden like billboards 3 months ago.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, the Trump signs never came down. Let's be honest.
I was going to say, why? Though in Tennessee's not even close to being in jeopardy.
Oh no, everyone wants to show their fealty to Trump. I mean, I get where there's tons of Trump.
Oh my gosh, the Trump parades and shit. Like it's
those are coming.
It's obnoxious. Oh my gosh.
They rally.
And if you get caught in them,
a truck full of flags.
If you get caught in them, especially with the stickers I have on the back of my car, that's not a good thing.
Fools on parade. Yeah.
What's the other thing that's interesting though is that it's going to be bad in the House as well, the House and the Senate. The best the best that the Democrats can do in the Senate is a tie. Which
unless there is, I mean, again, it's a lifetime in politics right now. Things can happen between that. I mean, we can start seeing, ads where candidates are saying that they're not a witch, and there have been some. 2022 was supposed to be a big ass Republican wave year, and it did not.
I remember that was great.
But
right, I mean, it was abortion.
Yeah.
Right.
And abortion's on the ballot in a lot of states this year too. So both sides know how to weaponize the idea of getting ballot initiatives on there to drive their voters to the polls.
The one other interesting poll that's worth talking about is that head-to-head
poll.
Kennedy beats everybody.
Ew.
In a two-way.
Yeah. I think it's just because people don't know enough about Kennedy. I think if Kennedy got the scrutiny of all the stuff that he said, I think some people will be like, hey, I don't know if I want him to have the his hand on the nuclear button.
Yeah.
And that's the interesting thing, because I've seen polling out about head-to-head matchups with the other supposed Democratic candidates. And they talk, that nobody really does any better against Trump, but we're talking about this is the base where they start at. Right. Once they get a full convention where they're hyped up, or the people are focused on them for a full week, and then their story gets told and all that stuff. Their profile is going to get bigger. And I think that the fact that people are so anti-Trump versus Biden at this point, you're going to see people just kind of gravitate. I think you'll see the poll numbers flip. It's we can't take the poll numbers now for hypotheticals, because we're going off from a base at this point. And somebody I think is at 45% versus 47% for Trump. You got to that's not a bad chance.
Yeah, I tell you, my
Needful?
dream would be Oprah.
Oh no, Oprah has to atone for giving us Dr. Oz and Dr. Phil.
Oprah also taught me how to escape a rapist. So
Well, I mean, they're good and bad things, but
Oprah or Dolly, either one.
Dolly, yeah,
Dolly would put all
would.
the right people in place and be like, "Y'all figure it out. Come with me when you got a plan.
Dolly would
I'm
be
going to write a
amazing.
song about the Oval Office."
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, so the reason why we spent so much time on this because really has significantly increased the chance of stuff Donald Trump being the president coming November. I mean, there's always a good chance that Donald Trump becomes president again because Biden is a weak candidate. But there's a project, something called Project 2025, and it is a raft of policy proposals that have been put out by the Heritage Foundation. As I think when 2016 happened, Donald Trump got elected, and I think people were so shocked, including within his own war room, were so shocked that he won that they were like, they didn't know what to do when they got elected. The first months were messy because he didn't know. It was like the dog that caught the car. What do you do now?
Right.
And he didn't have the people in place to effect policy changes. I think that was probably why he was not really an effective president, other than the Supreme Court. That I think that was where he probably had his, not from my perspective, but his best moments was getting those 3 Supreme Court justices pushed through. Now people think that he's going to get elected, and the Heritage Foundation has put together this Project 2025. It's not an official Trump document, but the thing I would say, pay attention to who is within this realm when it comes to Project 2025, who's pushing it. Guys like Stephen Miller and other people that are Ben McEntee, I think his name is, people that were high up within the Trump administration and probably will be serving in certain aspects of the Trump administration. Stephen Miller was a big immigration policy guy. A lot of the tenets are for how to reorganize the government into really changing how our cabinets are constituted, who has control, removing oversight from Congress, and really giving a lot of the control to the federal to the executive branch, reclassifying a number of federal employees from civilian non-political appointees to being political appointees and having fealty to the administration. And then there was just a raft of policy proposals when it comes to cultural war items that I know that AJ is well versed in at this point, and really just kind of how we are going to reorganize the government should Donald Trump win, and really kind of cement the. I will say that it's more of a Orban Putin style government that they want to institute. And I think that's what the Republicans have been kind of grooming us for. I mean, remember Tucker Carlson's big trip to Russia, where he was talking about how great the subways are and how the grocery stores, and they wanted us to kind of embrace this idea of having a God King serving as our president. And this is a very concerning document. Now, it is said that this is not an official Trump proposal. It is from the Heritage Foundation. But again, look at who's behind it, and those people will be in the Trump White House.
One of the interesting things about it is that we know for a fact that Donald Trump personally could give 2 shits about LGBT issues, right? His entire life, never cared about it at all. But he's an opportunist.
Yeah, I mean, think about abortion too.
Yeah,
how many are under his name?
Right, exactly. Right, he has paid for, according to his words, he's paid for thousands of abortions.
Yeah.
So he doesn't care about any of that shit. He only wants to get elected. But here's the thing: he's using these people to get elected, and they are planning on using him to implement their version of utopia.
I mean, on his website, he's got a video talking about gender. That wants a law that says that there are only two genders and that your gender is assigned at birth, and no changes to that. That's on his website, on Donald Trump's website. So that's part of his platform. So that's something that's going to get pushed by his
It's going to get pushed one way or the other. Yeah.
Yeah. And the concerning thing about this to me, and I'll let you talk about some stuff here in a sec, AJ. The concerning thing is that if, let's say the Democrats push somebody else out and win in 2025, and we've got a split Congress, so the House goes to the Democrats, Senate goes to the Republicans, or the Democrats sweep. It doesn't really matter. This is going to, this becomes Project 2029 now. This is going to continue to get pushed because this is the conservative agenda for how they think government should be done. And I don't think people with the Heritage Foundation care whether it's Donald Trump or Ron DeSantis or J.D. Vance, whoever pushes it in 29, Jared Kushner, for God's sakes. This is a long-lasting policy proposal, and they'll continue to knock on the door on all of these things, not just in 2025, but 2029 and beyond. But AJ, you have been studying a lot of this stuff when it comes to the culture war fun that these dickbags want to foist upon us.
Well, I moved from Tennessee, and the only reason that I would know anything about this is that Tennessee is one of the testing states. Florida is one of the testing states. Texas. And I don't mean like actually people in the government, but even people like going to the school board and seeing how far they can push book bans. Yep. Seeing how everything has been a test ground, because this document was completed in 2022. They started writing it after he lost and was like, okay, next up, we're gonna make this better. We're gonna figure this out next time. They have been doing this. So the increase in the bills and the hate and the dumb, like, Moms of Liberty or all of that stuff, they've been just kind of testing the waters and seeing just how far they can get this whole time. Now, they talk about critical race theory. Well, yeah, and here they talk about ending all DEI programs across the board. They're talking about ending the federal protections for people with disabilities, special education students and whatnot. Well, Tennessee, they rejected a bunch of federal funds, so they don't have to mind a bunch of those rules anymore because they're not getting the money that came with it. Neat how that works, right?
Yeah.
Let's see, strict taxpayer funding from Corporation for Public Broadcasting. This is NPR and PBS.
That's been a dream of theirs. I mean, remember,
apparently they've been trying to do it forever. Yeah.
Yeah, Mitt Romney that was his, great existential threat was fucking Big Bird.
Oh yeah. I tried to skip through and look at several different things, but I'm also a nurse, and so I was just mostly curious what they were going to do there. But also, I'm a female, and there's just special shit for us apparently. So the Department of Health and Human Services, first of all, the very first thing that caught my eye is abortion and euthanasia are not health care.
Wow.
So I have a lot of friends that work in hospice. And I believe that they would disagree with this. And anyone that has actually had a loved one
suffer,
die in front of them.
Yep.
Yeah. So I just kind of want us to pause for a second on that, because they are telling us that we can't end suffering right there. That is what they are saying with that statement. The government's going to just make it illegal for your suffering to, yeah. So that's one thing I just kind of wanted to put out there. Of course, there's no protection for LGBTQ. Shocking. Let's see. States should be the primary regulators of the medical profession.
Jesus.
I mean, Jared Polis seems nice and all, but I didn't go to him for my COVID test. I'm just saying. I went to the medical professionals that were down the road because they're the ones that should be involved. And me, the patient, and that's fucking it. Y'all know that I feel that way though, so that's okay. Here's a great one that none of us actually meet the qualifications for. I bet most of our people in the comments don't make the qualifications for this either. Promoting stable and flourishing married families. They want to repeal all the agenda items focusing on LGBTQ equality, subsidizing single motherhood, de-incentivizing work, and penalizing marriage.
The Handmaid's
As a
Tale
married
was
person,
not a.
what penalizations have y'all had? Just curious. What
Well,
government punishment have you faced because you're married? What social? What economic? What hardships have you had as married people? I'm just curious.
I mean, my.
Mm,
I won't say it. No,
yeah.
it's not from government, but no, I mean, like the Handmaid's Tale was not an instructional manual. 1984 was not an instructional manual.
No.
This is like we've got the worst of both worlds here, and that's what this whole document is. It's like we're gonna monitor you from birth to death to make sure you live your life in accordance with the our, and it's not even like a scripture based interpretation of their religion. It's this weird control based interpretation of scripture.
This is wild to me. You know, they want to remove all of those policies. This is, I don't know, like the scariest statement to me as some opinionated lady that's single. Replace these policies with policies that support the formation of stable, married, nuclear families.
Right. I mean, that's the part that is the craziest of all.
Yes. Of course, we can go on and talk about the banning of mifepristone, prohibit abortion travel funding, prohibit Planned Parenthood from receiving Medicaid funds. I had a friend whose breast cancer was found at an appointment at Planned Parenthood. Bioethics, stop funding abortion-derived fetal tissue research. Congress should prohibit this research altogether. This includes STEM research that has allowed people to walk again and to regrow nerves where they hadn't. And several of our veterans actually have benefited from STEM research. They actually have a whole paragraph that just says woke policies. I didn't bother reading that one because I know what woke is. I know what they consider woke is. Woke is my entire household.
Right.
So,
Part is their. I mean, the biggest thing in there is that you have to acknowledge that the Confederacy actually did win the Civil War. That's part of. I'm just kidding. That's not.
I know woke policies. Honestly, I'm a Tennessee girl. That wouldn't fucking surprise me at all.
Right.
Yeah.
We were talking before the show, and I was saying, you know, how I don't see political things here, and they're like, "Why would you see anything in Tennessee? It's obviously red," and it was just a Trump pride. That's all it is. This, as soon as I say woke, I already know. To Medicaid recipients, they were talking about adding work requirements and targeted time limits or lifetime caps. The people that I know that are on Medicaid, it's because they can't work. So that's interesting. I mean, if they can't work, did they just not get treatment? Did they just not get the Medicaid? The Emergency Medical Treatment and Labor Act. You may have heard this past couple of weeks because the Supreme Court had an opinion. This requires no abortions, preempts no pro-life state laws, and explicitly requires stabilization of the unborn child.
Wow.
Not the body that the unborn child arrived in, but the unborn child.
Right.
I can tell you, as someone that has been in labor twice, it is pretty scary. You don't really know how it's going to go. And if you show up 5.5 weeks early, you don't know what the outcome is going to be because your baby is really, really little. This is terrifying. This is absolutely terrifying.
Absolutely.
When I moved out of Tennessee, we had already lost most of our rural OBGYNs. You don't have those practices around like you used to. 3 years ago, if you got pregnant in Warren County, where I'm from, you had 3 different OBGYN offices to go to for, all of your care and your checkups and all of this. We don't have that now. What's stupid is the people that are like, well, we still got the hospital. And it's like, great. You do realize there's more between getting knocked up and like popping the baby out, or there's a whole thing that needs to happen.
Yeah, I mean, hospital's great and all, but I mean, let's say you have cancer. You can go to the hospital, but the hospital doesn't have the specialists that you need to address your issue. You need OBGYNs to address the issue. And if you're not doing that, then you're doing no one a service on this.
Just because there's a hospital doesn't mean that they're equipped to take care of much at all.
Exactly.
I have an aunt. This is how it is in Tennessee. I don't know if this is how it is. I know it's not like this here, which is interesting. I don't see life flight helicopters all the time now. It was really common in rural Tennessee because you had 3 big hospitals all in different directions.
Yep.
People, they might live. Maybe, I mean, life flight's a pretty big deal. They might live, but how much debt are they going to be in? Because the care is it's already not there, I just don't see how throwing government on anything is going to make it better. I haven't seen proof of that yet in my 41 years.
Well, the interesting thing about it is that we are, looking at this situation where it's not just that they're throwing government on, because there's some situations in which, they're advocating for things that, like, for example, NPR and PBS, that actually is throwing government on something. Okay. If you took government out of the equation, you would be doing what the Heritage Foundation wants. But what they're advocating for is situations in which there is a moral question and saying, follow our morality, not follow an idea of, lesser government, as Janice says, or, more respect for human rights or anything else. They're talking about quickly follow our morality. And that's where it becomes so unbelievably anti-American to suggest that anybody could have a monopoly on morality.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not shocked by that either. And I think what bothered me so much about this is I haven't actually been angry since we moved here because people just aren't angry. Maybe it's the weed. I don't know. But they're not angry. Like, we go somewhere at the gas station, there's not somebody screaming at the cashier. If we go to the grocery store, there's not someone honking the horn at some old lady crossing. I mean, we had been really used to so many angry people because Tennessee is angry. Yeah. We couldn't go to Walmart and get a heater without hearing some guy bitch because the box also had Spanish on it. I'm not going to buy any of those Mexican heaters. It's got Mexican on it. Turn it around. The English is on the other side. Like, what? So I hadn't been angry. That's the point of that. So I'm reading through this, and I grew up with this. This is, I probably feel like I met the authors, and I read through and was so disappointed at how many female authors are involved with this.
Oh yeah.
I've read Handmaid's Tale. I watched most of it. There were those women too, and they still got fingers chopped off. They still,
the whole leopards
they still suffered
eating my face
punishment.
party.
Yep.
They do actually go on to talk about children that exist, which is interesting. Adoption agencies, they want them to be able to refuse non-married couples that don't have certain beliefs, like you were saying. Our morality must match. The child support tax credit. I know people are going to disagree with me on this. I don't get a tax credit for either of my boys anymore, right? But even when I did get a tax credit, it was money that I had actually spent on them. I know that there are good dads out there. I'm sure there are. In fact, they address that too. Um, I'm just not sure if you should get tax credit for money that you put towards your
No.
kid. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
mean, the
sure
thing
that,
about
that this is something that I can, because
it
I
goes
have
to
to
the
report it. Like when I got some, I got like $323 in like 2011, I think. Like I was so shocked. Um, and I mean, I had to claim it, and it went in the lines like everything else did. So I just feel like that's stupid, because if he
it
had
is
been
stupid.
trusted just to give me the money, then
Right.
we wouldn't have had to go through the courts and everything anyway. I don't know. It just seemed weird to me.
It's stupid from such a variety of different formats. Number one, and again, it is legislation of morality. We're giving people tax credits, just like there was a tax credit for buying a hybrid car. Why? Because
I,
there's somebody thought and said, "Oh, this is the way we'll promote better, more moral behavior." When in reality, that hadn't been thought out at all. It's the same thing for almost every tax credit. Now, there is a fascinating libertarian part of this, where there are some libertarians who say every loophole, every tax credit, everything we do, we should support all of them because it's less taxes. I actually disagree with that. I think you don't fix the tax code by supporting parts of it.
and supporting parts of it that add billions of dollars, billions of pages to the tax code that
Right.
require us to use special software to be able to do our taxes.
And what's super crazy about this is at no point in time did the Heritage Foundation say the solution to defunding NPR and PBS is to collect less taxes, right? Because
right.
that's how they actually could have done it. They could have gotten people behind it by saying, you know what? We like NPR and we like PBS, but we just don't think we're going to have enough tax revenue when we throw everything out except for supporting the
And
military
if you
and
love
a
PBS
justice
and
system.
NPR, you can invest with with your own with your own dollars that have been returned to you.
Yeah.
But we're so far behind now that can you return tax dollars to people?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, Colorado does. Colorado, you get your income tax back every year, assuming wheat sales are high enough. But the
Will be
the
nice.
idea that we have this sort of simple system that is just waiting for their simple interactions to fix everything is ludicrous. The only way that things like what they want to do going to happen is for them to implement it in their own personal lives.
Yeah.
And there's no restriction. If that's the way they want to live their lives, go ahead. You know what? If you want to oppose abortion, don't have an abortion.
Don't have an abortion.
Exactly. If
Yeah.
you want a long, painful, suffering death, please have a long, painful, suffering death.
I
I
Instead of
thought you were going to say get married.
well, like I said with the
Sorry.
with the Ten Commandments thing, if you feel like your religious doctrine has to be enforced at the barrel of a gun, that tells me that you have no faith in the word of your God. You just don't have that. I mean, you don't think that just going out and living your life and proselytizing if you have to, but living your life as you see that it should be lived is not convincing enough people, so that you think that you have to take the government to enforce your lifestyle on everyone else.
Right.
You have no faith in your God.
Well, and it's the thing is that there's so many great examples of voluntarism really changing things. There is, I feel like I referenced Taylor Swift too much on this show, but
You do. It's okay.
Take it off.
One of the things
We love
that
you
Taylor
anyway.
does, I'll take it off. But one of the things that Taylor does is when she tours in a country, she finds a city and she funds their food bank for a year.
Oh, wow.
So she's done Liverpool 5 years, right? All the food banks in Liverpool get entirely funded voluntarily. Didn't take any taxes, didn't take anything else, because it's somebody who lives by an ethical code. People's ethical code will often exceed anything that you want to do at a government level. You just have to let people do that shit. But when you tell people they have to do stuff, they don't want to do it voluntarily anymore.
No, we've seen that, you see rich people that don't give because they say, well, I get taxed to do this. The government's supposed to do that. And it's like, what the government is doing is not working. Like their programs generally don't work. They're not efficient, and it creates a burden on both the people that are giving money or are having their money taken to fund that project, but also the people that are supposed to receive those services, because they're not getting as much money as they should be getting based off of an efficiently run service. But
can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Melania Trump, she posed naked, correct? In some
allegedly,
magazines
I've seen it. Yeah, she was
back in the day,
naked.
right? So something else. We're going to ban pornography, people. But they're going to decide what pornography is, because I found this in a little bitty section that goes into, what was it? It says,
Yep, I've heard that.
gender affirming care, drag queens, and pornography. They put those all together. So that's where we're at.
Yeah, it's not just banning pornography. Like, there are states that have
It's going to be anything it's going to be Tennessee.
Yeah, I mean, like Virginia has said that porn websites have to have some kind of age verification for people to log in. And Pornhub, to their credit,
not available.
They shut off access to any IP address that comes from that state. So basically, all it does is teach men in those states and women
how to use VPNs.
How to use a VPN. It's amazing to me to see, because their proposal is not just to turn off websites, but to prosecute actors and distributors of pornography.
Oh yeah.
Not going to be a popular move. I'm just going to go out on a limb on that one, because
not just that, but it's such a broad thing for them. They consider anything that's not, straight, white, and Christian to be pornography, unless they say it's not.
They're going to ban the BBC from being broadcast in the United States for this.
See, this is just.
I'm sorry.
What if only?
Joking.
You can't get enough big black cock jokes on this show. It's an interesting thing, because pornography is such a crazy thing to try to ban at the legal level, because pornography is
First Amendment concerns.
Exactly. Well, but also pornography has been illegal, and that never stopped pornography.
Yeah.
There is, you can make an argument. I would certainly think about the fact that I'm not raising any children. But if I were raising children, I would be concerned about what is available now on the internet.
Sure.
Compared to, the pornography that I grew up with. which
Yes.
magazines, stuff like that. There is, I've heard, some really sick, crazy ass stuff out there available for consumption, and it's
There
not
is.
hard to find. How do you address that? Because blocking it or saying that there's going to be laws against it, A, doesn't work. B, means that your children are going to be unprepared for that when they see it. And I mean, there's all sorts of stuff that,
Well,
we're unprepared for when we see them.
yeah,
Yes.
and but you think about like the book bans and stuff that have gone on in schools
Yeah.
that focus on books that are talking about kids, experiencing something sexually. I think that is part of the greater thing of driving us back to this kind of 1950s esque ideal of having a housewife at home who, patiently waits dotingly on the husband and
What,
ignores his dalliances and
what's
all that
crazy,
stuff.
what's crazy too is that, the far right and the far left actually want the same thing. They want the return of the single parent family, of the single working parent family,
Well, yeah.
which is
How do you do it though?
crazy. Yeah, exactly. The thing is that if you can do that, great. Is it a requirement? There are certainly places. Obviously, I lived in a really, really expensive place in Boston, where most people couldn't get by on one parent's income. Certainly not if you lived in the greater Boston area.
Oh.
There's nothing to rent out there. On the other hand, that was a place with crazy good social services, high tax rate, impressive schools, all that stuff, because that's what those things were around. And so certainly you can live in Boston without a car, right? That saves people a lot of money. Other things like that. There's social services that are available. However, this idea, again, comes to a level of morality. And it's exactly the same on the far left as it is on the far right. When the far left says that they want there to be, reality for, excuse me, for a family where only one parent works, what are they talking about?
Yeah.
Right? They're talking about the idea that there is a wage, that there is going to be a minimum wage paid that's going to allow people to make a living. That's a moral judgment.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not a question of, business sense or anything like that, because businesses do what they have to do to survive. Sometimes people try to make more money for themselves and pay their workers less. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But it's a moral question whether or not you're going to pay your workers a living wage.
Well, and another thing that is a highlight, and when we talk about conservative politics, and this is always a highlight of their proposals, is immigration. And this is really advocating, taking people from the streets, putting them on a plane, and sending them back to where they came from. How do you do this stuff? Are we going to completely embrace a police state where, you're stop and frisk, and if you've got a funny last name, you get sent back to some random country? What kind of due process do you get? What kind of what are the processes? I mean, there's no real good details on what protections do people have if you get rounded up in an immigration sweep and you're an American, you just didn't have your ID on you that day. What remedies do you have? Are you sent to Mexico or Guatemala or whatever, to then have to prove yourself to come back to the United States without ID, without anything proving what you are? So immigration is absolutely one of the scariest things of this proposal, is because they're really advocating a police state here, like door to door, rip people from their homes, send them to another country, and say that they're dealing with the immigration issue. And that's frightening. Absolutely frightening. Because innocent people are going to get rounded up in it.
Exactly. Lord forbid they come into your house.
We understand that
looking for an immigrant, and then they find pornography there. Then you're really screwed. Let alone foreign porn. For example, the magazine known as We. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's going to be a blast from the past for some people in my generation.
Where?
Wet.
But yeah.
And so here's the last step on this. Everybody should be talking about Project 2025. Okay? Mm-hmm. If you're for it or against it, and most of us are against it, but we need to know the people who are for it. Let's find them out, and let's find ways to reach them and say, not all of this. Because there's a fascinating study that the Pew Trust did on radical Islam. And what they found is that there's a very small circle of people who actually support jihad. Putting people to death for blasphemy or heresy. But then there's a circle of people around them who say, I wouldn't do that, but I support those people doing that crazy shit. And then there's a circle around them, et cetera, et cetera. And it's that radiating circle that enables the truly dangerous fanatics. And are we going to build a Christian nation that is like Iran or that is like Saudi Arabia? Something like that, because that's what they want to build. Right. Iran, I mean, what they want, Project 2025 is about jihad. It is about Sharia. Those are the actual things that they want. And it's just as wrong for any other culture as it is for American. Actually, it's more wrong. It's more bad for Americans than anything else. That's the thing. A friend of mine, Thomas Lang, started a group called Know Thy Neighbor. In Massachusetts, same-sex marriage was legalized long before it was legalized in the rest of the country. Mm-hmm. And some people started a petition to get it removed because Massachusetts has law by petition. Essentially, if you get enough signatures together, you can put a law on the thing. They want to ban gay marriage. Mitt Romney actually stopped that from getting on the ballot. And he knew that, unfortunately, Massachusetts, although a very blue state and a lot of hardcore Catholics, and it probably would have passed. They probably would have repealed gay marriage by ballot initiative. However, he declared that it was unconstitutional, and so we couldn't vote on it this time, so they'd have to wait 2 years. And in that 2 years, enough things had switched. However, my friend Tom founded a group called Know Thy Neighbor, because all the petitions that were signed, you had to sign with your name and your address. And so he got those public information and he published them. And then he sent out postcards and said, did you know that your neighbor at 2647 Apple Lane signed a petition to remove gay marriage? And really got into people's business.
Wow.
That's the sort of stuff that has to be done here when we start talking about 2025. We have to say, these are the people who support it. And you need to know that these are the people who are going to take away your fundamental rights. They're going to take away, when they say they're going to take away pornography, they're going to take away violent video games. They're going to take away Dungeons and Dragons because it's satanic. Mm-hmm. They're going to go after all of these things. They're going to make a more Christian nation. And that's just frighten everybody.
AJ, you did a word count on a lot of concerning terms within this thing. So let's hear it.
I was going cross-eyed from the anger. So I had to stop that. And I was like, let's just do some word search. Just the word father was used 45 times. The word mother, 27 times. Marriage, 46. Abortion, 199 times. The word fetus, 0. The word baby, 24. The word babies, 5. Gender, 111. Nuclear, as in that nuclear family we're talking about, 232 times. Rape, 0. Research, 317 times. The reason that I decided to look at research is they're really upset about COVID. And anything that involved research, they were like, discontinue this research, stop this research, end this research, end the funding for this, yada, yada.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
You're talking about stem cell research and things like that, which, of course, would impact fetuses.
Children, 189 times. The word faith was used 63 times. Religious was used 102 times. The reason that I bring this up, that's how involved they want to be in everything.
Yep.
And Dan is right. Pornography is going to spread to everything, anything. Pornography is probably going to spread to my fucking Instagram because there's cleavage. Like, they are going to take all of this very seriously. I told everybody that I didn't want to be in Tennessee no matter what the election results were. I still hold that. I'm a little bit concerned about the United States in general because of this crap.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, CNN has showed plenty of representatives talking about Project 2025, yet they didn't ask in the debate. They didn't say it at all. Not that Trump would have answered, because Lord knows he had his talking points.
Yeah.
Oh, are you going to accept the election results? Yes or no? There was like 74 words, and none of them were yes or no. Yeah. So this should scare everyone. And I've asked people if they heard of it, and I've talked to people. And I mean, this even goes, I talked to an ex who is a Republican, and he actually got an office because the Republican Party supported him. I said, do you understand that even just being associated with the Republican Party down on your level, I was like, every time that you raise money, some of it's probably going to this.
Oh, yeah.
The Republican
Absolutely.
Party, there are percentages that are going to this. And he was like, what are you talking about? I was like, Project 2025, have you ever heard of it? He was like, no. I was like, Google it. I'm going to Colorado, fuck off. Like, it just, I want people to understand that I'm not saying this because I'm hysterical. It's right here. It's right here for everybody to read. And I know people don't like to read, but maybe you should. Maybe you should put down your porn and your violent video games, and you should read this shit. Just saying.
Or make a violent video game based off of Project 2025.
Oh, I read that book, Handmaid's Tale. It already exists.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for letting me be angry.
No, that's, definitely, the whole thing is concerning. And yes, it's not official Trump policy, but there are enough people that are involved in the Trump campaign that this is going to be the roadmap.
Oh.
This is the stuff that they've been signaling for several years that they would like to bring the United States to. You talk about whether the United States will be a safe place after this election. I mean, it really does hinge on who wins the election. But the number of countries now that feel like a safe place, they're kind of running out. I mean, what we saw today, that the French election went to Marine Le Pen's National Front Party. Now, it's a two-round.
Yeah.
And they've won that first round times.
Yeah.
Did you hear me?
What's that?
300. It may not be Trump's plan, but he's mentioned 312 times.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's a two-wave election, but they've done better than they've ever done in this election. It feels like Emmanuel Macron had a dumb idea to call a snap election, but Will the
I mean, it's an interesting question.
center and the left rally to coalesce behind
Yeah, I don't know how,
non-national front candidates?
I don't know how dumb it is, because I mean, what he wanted to do was to, say, look, this is the shit that's going on, and people need to stop being passive about it and pretending like, oh, it's not, it's just an existential threat. It's a real threat. The far right, I mean, Jesus, right? There's no more socialistic, hand waving, brie eating, quiche loving culture than the French. And if they can elect a far right group, I mean, the only good thing about it is that the far right group will still be as lazy as the rest of the French. And so they're not going to get a lot done. But it's incredibly worrisome that it has spread to a space like France.
So Sparks note, check out John Oliver's video on Project 2025. That's a really good episode on what, and a very funny episode of what Project 2025 entails. I do like French fries as well, but I love them covered in gravy and cheese curds. Give me some of that poutine from
Poutine.
Yeah. Yeah, it's concerning. We're seeing that wave of far right fascist parties do well in Europe. It does feel like the interwar period. Like there's something that's going to happen because nationalist parties don't play well with each other. Eventually, they're going to start wrangling for resources, and when that starts to happen, that's when the wars start. And we're seeing it with Putin and Ukraine. They want the resources that Ukraine have and the accesses that Ukraine have. It's happening. I mean, Hungary has made overtures to taking parts of Romania. There's concerning things that are happening in Europe that if you're planning on Europe as your safe space to run to, you might want to look at South America. I don't know. There may not be. Look at Bermuda. I think.
Canada.
Lord knows what happens if the full dome happens in the United States and they get ideas on, we want that Canadian oil sand.
Yeah, I mean, Canadians will happily sell them that oil sand.
Well, why sell it or why buy it when you can take it?
Well, I mean, the thing is that just to get into it a little bit, the oil sand is so incredibly expensive to process that it only becomes worthwhile when oil's at an enormous price.
But when you become a nationalist state, when nationalism is your realism, they do their own triangle.
I have a sister that's actually on a cruise through there right now.
Oh, I love Bermuda. Bermuda is a great place.
Never been. Would love to just get lost.
Yeah. But yeah, nationalism is, you are superior to the other nations of the planet and you want to have all the resources to yourself. That's how you get strong. The United States has resources.
It is an interesting question because Europe actually has seen French nationalism. And the last time that happened, the French ran east and conquered everything in their path all the way to Moscow. French nationalism is, in fact, a quite scary concept.
Same with German nationalism.
Yeah, German
AfD's rising in the polls in Germany as well. I mean, that's It's not just a couple of states here and a couple of states there.
Yep, and it's crazy.
I don't either. All right, y'all ready for the quiz?
I'm definitely ready.
I don't think so.
I understand that.
Maybe that's the COVID talking. Let's see what happens.
All right, let me hide the chat and bring us back on the screen.
There was a panda.
That was a panda. There were some troops. There's the debate, the debacle instead of debate. Look at that face. Although I love red pandas better than just the regular pandas.
Red pandas, not pandas, but
they're not. They're more fox, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah,
they're definitely cute. But regular pandas taste better.
Panda Express.
You're fired.
Pandas never taste so good. Exactly. All right, question number 1. President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump met for their first 2024 debate this week. Where did the showdown occur?
The same place where the U.S. men's national team lost to Panama.
And I only know that because I watched the debate.
Yeah. Roughly the same time. Hot Atlanta. AJ's got it right.
At the CNN studios there in downtown Atlanta. I heard an interesting theory. I was on the radio on Friday, and we were talking about it. There may be a chance if Biden stays in that Donald Trump cancels the rest of the debates.
Yeah, I mean,
but why put yourself in a position that Biden comes back in the second debate and that is actually apparent.
Yeah. On the other hand, I would come back and I would have some math problems for Joe Biden. I would just spring him out and say, Joe, what do you think the 18th letter of the alphabet is? We'll sit here, you count them out.
It would take me a while for you to get there.
T is 20, so you can go count backwards from them. Oh. There, M is 13.
MS 13?
M is 13,
yes. Question number 2. Which U.S. dam is in imminent failure condition after intense flooding in the Midwest? Oroville Dam, Hoover Dam, Dvorshak Dam, which I think he was on Welcome Back Cotter, or Rapid
Mr. Cotter. I think it's the dam named after me.
Yes, the Rapid Dam.
Yes.
Say that like 85 times fast.
It's my rapper name is Rapidan.
Rapidan.
Chase, did you hear that? He's available. I would love that.
Mm-hmm. Correct. Officials have warned that the Rapidan Dam, located about 70 miles southwest of Minneapolis, is in imminent failure condition. Assessment and response efforts are underway as the area has seen significant damage and loss of infrastructure and property. Dams going away or giving away are never a good thing, especially for those folks downstream from it. Let's see, Janice got it. Good stuff. All right, question number 3. A growing list of school districts in the United States are moving to ban which item from classrooms? Backpacks, cell phones, calculators, or water bottles?
Cell phones, baby.
Yes. Los Angeles did it. I think New York is close to doing it.
New York City was looking at it, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that just makes complete sense.
It does. I mean, I get the idea of being able to contact your child if there's an emergency, but you can do that through the office.
Yeah.
I mean, back in the day, that's what how we did it. The office and the office.
I have a whole opinion about this, and I'm the only person on the panel that can talk about this. I was in a training seminar, and there were 3 of us training, and then there was one person training us, and her kid's school was put on lockdown. And every single one of us, we know that terror. And she was getting texts from them to let her know that they were okay. That's how she was able to continue her fucking day, is knowing that her kids were alive. Because I'll be honest, Warren County got locked down a couple of times. And yes, I was not my most productive during that time. Thankfully, my kids were able to text me.
Yeah. I mean, that is the only argument I've really heard.
Safer. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing that's the thing that I've heard is the only argument against doing this is worst case scenario, something happens, the kids are able to notify their parents, and really it's not a bad thing to have at least a few people having. I mean, it's like the whole arming teachers class, somebody having cell phone technology to be able to communicate. Like if they are in a lockdown, there is an active shooter, that this classroom is secure and we're waiting for rescue, that type of stuff. But once people get a bad idea in their head that is,
what,
going to run.
How about body cams for all the students that are accessible remotely? So then the parents can know where their kids are all the time, What's going on? Are they paying attention in school?
Yeah.
It's all silly.
To be able to know your kid's okay during an active shooter situation, that's silly.
The idea that you can't know that by other situations. For example,
I mean, it's hard.
In all the classrooms that parents can access. That's a really good idea.
Do what?
Because parents should know what their kids are doing all the time. They should be paying attention to whether or not their kids are actually in school. Don't tell me you care about your kids being in school if you only care about it during an active shooter situation. You should care about whether your kids are in school all the time. Let's put real tracking systems in the school system. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean
that's.
I know where my kids are, and for that matter, there was an electronic situation because I am raising boys. There was an electronic situation where I had to pay more attention, and so I paid more attention. It's called being involved.
Right. Exactly.
So I don't disagree with the cameras in the classroom.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, there's been some incidents here in West Virginia where, especially within the special ed community, where teachers have taken liberties with kids and
absolutely
berated them or hit them.
That is a great example. I don't know why you wouldn't have cameras in classrooms. Anyway.
I mean, yeah, I mean, like, would you want cameras at your workplace following you around all day?
First of all, it doesn't matter, right? And lots of people have that.
Yeah.
But I was on camera quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, for example, the hospital, all that stuff is recorded all the time.
Yeah.
Now it's HIPAA, so it's super protected in terms of privacy, but we recorded everything. Every door when it was open, the camera started recording.
Janet's got this one already while we flap
we're not we're not doing these.
Yeah, 2 pandas have been sent to the San Diego Zoo. One of 2 zoos now that have pandas. The Atlanta Zoo is about to give their pandas back. They repatriate
those
pandas every once in a while. So, but again, red pandas superior. Question number 5. A mysterious monolith was discovered in a mountain range outside of Las Vegas, prompting theories of alien life. What was the object made of? Clay, glass, metal, or wood?
I think it's metal.
I think
it's metal. And I
think it's alien life.
There was one found in Colorado.
Yeah, it's shiny.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
maybe we'll go see it when we're at Freedom Fest Day.
Glass might be, but yeah,
glass would be cool. I'm pretty sure
alien life. Yeah, if you think it's alien life, it's got to be metal.
I'm pretty sure the picture I saw was shiny too. Yeah,
there it is.
Yeah,
it's
and then 2 days ago, one showed up in Colorado.
Nice. I mean, maybe they're contacting us. They're like, "Hey, look, we got you, fam. We're not going to make you go through the 2024 election. We're going to come in October. We're going to yeet some people."
There's a great album called Children of the Sun, in which aliens come to Earth and save everybody. Recommend it very highly.
From ourselves.
Yeah, Children of the Sun.
Question number 6. Which dessert food was impacted by a widespread recall this week due to possible listeria contamination?
Brownies. It's always ice cream if it's listeria.
Yeah, brownies, cookies, ice cream, or pie. Punch and pie. Or cake.
Well, people come and they say we have punch and pie.
It's cake if it's Thomas Queener. So.
Yep. There's a famous story of Bluebell ice cream, which is the best ice cream in the country. And it's made in one place in Bremen, Texas. And at one point in time, they had a wisteria infection. And they're like, we are going to have to shut down, throw away all the ice cream that we have, clean out the tanks, etc.
Volunteers tribute. I'll take one for the team.
Well, that's exactly it. A bunch of people showed up and said, we'll take that ice cream that might have wisteria in it. Don't throw it away. We'll just take it home. We'll take the risk because the ice cream is that good.
I like Bluebell ice cream. They had there was a blueberry pie one that was just amazing.
Bluebell's Gold Rim Vanilla, I think, is my favorite of all vanillas. There's a Tillamook that is out of Portland. They make a really nice ice cream too, especially the fruit, the peach and the cherry, really good.
Yeah. All right, question number
Okay.
7. Which airline is being? What's that?
I said, okay, boys that fly, like this was y'all's.
Which airline is being investigated after 2 planes recently plunged mid-flight? Alaska, America, Southwest, or United?
It's got to be Alaska.
Actually, I've seen the story. I know it's not.
Okay, good. Save us. Is it United?
Southwest.
Really?
Oh no.
Interesting. I'm flying Spirit to get to Vegas.
Oh no.
Yeah, FAA is investigating Southwest flight that flew 500 feet above Oklahoma town, triggering an altitude warning. 500 feet, good Lord. Triggering an altitude warning from the air traffic control. Second recent incident involved a Southwest plane narrowly missing the ground after another flight this month came within 400 feet of crashing into the ocean. Good God, what are you doing, Southwest?
The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy says that the art of flying is throwing yourself at the ground and missing.
Yes. All right, question number 8. Foreign policy question. Which country in South America was rocked by an attempted military coup?
I mean, if you bring the scorpions into your country, they're going to rock you. That's what their song says. So maybe I should use Queen in that joke.
Yeah.
All right. I actually don't know.
I do.
But the fact that I didn't hear anything makes me think it's Bolivia.
You are correct, sir.
I don't believe it.
Your deductions are just.
Yeah, Bolivia had an attempted coup this week. It failed. President Luis Acre called on the public to mobilize in defense of democracy. And it was a pretty half-assed coup. So the Cuban pigeons did not say coup.
That's funny. My colleague who I shared an office with for several years, his name was Jorge Sanchez de Lozada, and related to the famous Jorge Sanchez de Lozada, who was a dictator of Bolivia for a long time.
Oh, wow. All right, question number 9. Which controversial figure was released from prison this week? Elizabeth Holmes, Julian Assange, Harvey Weinstein, or R. Kelly?
Wouldn't have happened without the Libertarian Party. For those of you who don't know, Angela McArdle claimed credit for this person getting released from prison.
Are you serious?
Yes.
I'm totally serious.
Yeah.
Janice has got it right.
Janice is on
Julian
fire.
Assange. And Angela McArdle said that because Trump said that he was going to free Ross, the Democrats had to respond at the Libertarian Convention. Democrats responded by releasing Julian Assange. And so that the Libertarian Party was responsible for it.
Yeah. No.
Uh-huh.
That logic couldn't be more tortured if it was a rendition to a CIA black site.
Yes.
All right, question number 10 for Dan and me. Actually, we're going to make AJ answer
Yeah,
this.
AJ, you should know this because we were talking about it.
Yeah. Which NHL team captured its first Stanley Cup in franchise history? Edmonton, Florida.
When y'all talk sports, I start doing other shit.
Pittsburgh or Seattle?
You got to get AJ.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not kidding. I didn't pay attention when y'all were talking. I hear wah, wah, wah. Y'all were talking about
That
sports.
hurts.
Tennis.
Well, let me ask you this.
No.
Which one of those
Seems
not like
Pittsburgh.
The most out of place? Well, I guess penguins are out of place too. There are no penguins in Pittsburgh. There is oil in Edmonton. It was the Panthers.
I was like, I wanted to be the Kraken just so I can be like, release my Kraken.
Florida Panthers won their first Stanley Cup, winning 3-2 or was it 2-1 in the Game 7 of the finals. Former Sabres Samson Reinhart with the game-winning goal, and
this is hockey.
Yeah,
Connor
McDavid winning the Conn Smythe, but he did not say.
Always goes to the player on the winning team.
Yeah, well, usually it's 6 times in league history, and only the second time a non-goaltender won the Conn Smythe on the losing team. Although I know you're disappointed, but you should, like, for a trophy like the Conn Smythe Award, he probably should have stuck around on the ice for the award. Somebody should have said, "Hey, you won the Conn Smythe Award, stick around."
Yeah, but I mean, they had a plan about what they were going to do if they lost. They executed their plan.
Yeah,
they went to the other locker room, threw TP all over the place, and so. Just kidding. Canadians were very classy. Speaking of classy Canadians, have you seen the Shatner ad?
I have not.
No.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
No.
Oh, well, so definitely look it up. Look for Shatner open salmon ad. Actually, we can play it on the air. Nobody's going to complain about that. So you can find it on YouTube.
People could, but we don't care.
All right, hold on a second.
93 years old.
Yeah. You should find the one by Pacific Wild. Did you find it? I'm going to send it to you. Hang on.
Oh, it's a profanity-laden ad?
Yes, but there won't be any profanity. And it's awesome.
All right, hold on a second. I got to launch it.
The one by Pacific Wild, right?
It says a message from Canada from William Shatner.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Stop that screen sharing.
You're going to like this one, AJ.
Are you ready for this?
Yeah, full screen.
For almost a century, I've been a kind, decent Canadian. It's the Canadian way. But when I see what open net salmon farming is doing to the environment and wildlife, I just can't be Canadian about it any longer. So, repeat after me. Off! Open net pen salmon farms! Your salmon farms are up our wild salmon population. It's a state on our nation. Now you have a go.
Get sideways.
Yes!
Get bent, you sacks.
Ooh. Now you got it, baby.
Open pen farms should really reconsider their practices.
What the Kirk McLean? Come on, man, you're a hockey player.
Sorry, your unnatural practices suck.
That's great.
Est-ce que action? Sacrez votre temps du Canada avec vos de saumon fire.
Well, that sounded mean as hell, I think. Hear that, f***ers? Yeah, we go Canada!
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah. Pretty good political message. And you saw the URL they got, foff.canada, foff.canada.
That is awesome.
Yeah, it's a interesting thing. Open salmon farms, mostly owned by Americans too, and that's the other thing about it is that essentially Americans bring their fishing population and ruining Canadian things. Now, Americans did buy those rights legally. It's a tough little.
Well, yeah, I mean,
thing,
it's probably a NAFTA, whatever the new agreement is, and you want to talk about a nationalist nation. Canada is very, very nationalist.
There have been so many interesting articles about why Canada seems to have such a really high percentage of movie stars, television stars, etc., come out of their thing. There's a great story about at one point Harvey Weinstein, did some terrible shit with Mira Sorvino, and her boyfriend at the time, Jason Priestley, just punched him right in the jaw and knocked him out, and essentially ended Jason Priestley's career in the United States. And for those of you who don't know, Jason Priestley was on the show called 90210. That was huge at the time. You're a good-looking dude, too. But you know what? He went back and had a very successful career in Canada.
Oh, yeah. Canada produces a lot of content for the United States. There's been some controversies on some of the Canadian, like with Trudeau's bills when it comes to content in Canada, whether it's internet content or TV content. There's a guy I follow on YouTube named JJ McCullough, who's a conservative blogger. Talks about how the laws are actually going to hurt Canadians rather than help them out. But yeah, there's Canada is a very nationalist nation. It's just that they're kinder than a lot of the nationalist nations out there. So happy Canada Day to all those who celebrate. Drink a Labatt. Yeah, drink a Labatt. Drink a Labatt for me.
Molson.
Or Molson. Yeah, either one.
Watch. What's your favorite Canadian movie?
Actually, watch Letterkenny. Fantastic show.
Wow.
Or Shoresy, kind of based off of that. You can also watch Trailer Park Boys. Fantastic Canadian stuff.
I was going to say Strange Brew.
Strange Brew is awesome. Yeah, I love Strange Brew. But today I found out that hoser, the term hoser that was in Strange Brew.
Yep.
You want to know what that came from?
Whatever hoser.
So when back in the day when teams would lose a hockey game, they would be in charge of hosing down the ice and putting more water in the ice. That's why they call hosers.
So hoser is a loser.
Yeah, that's awesome. More you know.
All right.
But have a great week, everybody. I think we're going to be off this week because I'm on vacation this week and probably relax.
Sounds good. I'm at Freedom Fest the Sunday after,
and I try and get this sign hung at some point this week.
That was very exciting.
Oh,
yeah. Without putting too many holes in my wall. Try to get that done. So, all right. Thanks for joining us, and we'll talk to you in a couple weeks. And have fun in Vegas? Is it Vegas?
Vegas is here.
All right. So have fun in Vegas.
All right.
And we'll let you know what our topic is on the following.
We'll figure something out.
So,
all right. Say goodnight, Gracie.
Good night, Gracie. I'll see you all in a couple weeks.